Hello again, everyone. Edwin Leonard back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be dissertating and talking about what I believe, in my opinion, is the longest living zodiac sign on average. And yes, it does apply and pertain to the sun, moon, and ascendant. Well, anyway, people, the first sign I'm going to talk about is Aries. And Aries can be have a lot of vitality, a lot of energy, and really, even in their latter years, might be in very good shape. Aries often, especially the Aries ascendant, can have a very lean and slender type frame and build, and they're often one of the signs of one of the better shapes of the zodiac, and even in the latter point of their life. But I think that proclivity to maybe overdo it, overexertion, can be to their detriment. I think Aries is a sign that doesn't always know when to quit, and I think that can work to their detriment, and I think it could take a few years off on average for them. So I'm going to say that it's not Aries. Now, the next sign I'm going to talk about is Taurus. Well, Taurus, Taurus can have a rugged constitution. Taurus is capable of a lot of vigorous effort and work, and I think, but though with Taurus, is that when you look at this sign, is that Taurus can be, in the latter years especially, maybe somewhat sedentary and may succumb to weight gain. I think Taurus has a tendency to be a little bit heavier than average, and I think that can work against them. So I would say, I think you have the overindulgence in food, perhaps because it is Venus ruled, and it really has they could really have that thing for the sweets. So I think that plays a role against them. So I'm going to say no, it's not Taurus. Now, the next sign I'm going to talk about is Gemini. Well, Gemini could be very lively, very vivacious, very whimsical, and really very youthful. Even at a latter point in their life, they often have a very youthful outlook on life. And I think for Gemini, to me, that when Gemini can actually have very youthful appearance even in their latter age. But I think when you look at Gemini, it is a mutable sign. It can incline toward worry. Gemini could be very restless, and like Aries, might have a very strong activity level in the latter point of their life. And there's nothing wrong with being active at an older age, but I think Gemini just really has difficulty sitting still, and maybe a little bit too restless and a little bit too much activity can work against them in the latter part of their life. So I would say no, it's not Gemini. Now, the next sign I'm going to talk about is Cancer. Well, Cancer is a sign like Taurus that they could have a propensity to gain weight. Cancer can be a sign that really likes food, can equal love with Cancer, and I think you can have that overindulgence in food with Cancer, and that could work against them. Cancer can be a somewhat fleshy type as far as the build goes and as far as their stature, and I think for these reasons, Cancer is a sign that I don't see as being the longest living zodiac sign on average. Now, I'm going to talk about Leo. Well, with Leo is a sign that is obviously a sign that could be have a lot of vitality, be very energetic. Their energy, they might even appear to be indefatigable or inexorable as far as their energy goes. But with Leo, though, I think what happens is Leo can be known for over excessive pride. And I think their pride can often work to their detriment at a latter point in their life. So what I'm saying is I had a prominent family member that had a son in Leo, and he died of a heart attack at 71. And I think that a lot of it was attributed to the fact that he worked very hard even in his latter point of his life. And sometimes Leos they feel like they don't want to be conquered, and I think that applies to the latter stages of their lives. They feel that they could still do a lot of times what they were able to do, say, when they were 30 or 20 years old, and it generally doesn't work that way. And I think for those reasons, Leo can be about the overexertion thing like I talked about with Aries. So for those reasons, I don't see Leo as being the longest living zodiac sign on average. Now, and talk about Virgo. Well, Virgo having this affinity often for health matters and being healthy, really you would think, at least on the surface, that this would be the sign that would be the longest living zodiac sign on average. I don't believe it is. Virgo is a mutable sign, and like Gemini can have that propensity or proclivity for worrying, and Virgos, I think that could work against them in their latter years, and sometimes Virgo being the workaholic that they can be, they could work so excessively that they may not always know when to stop in between the worrying, and I think the constant, a lot of times wanting to do things and I mean, as far as wanting to be of service, I mean, to their level at a latter point in time, I think that could work against them, and I don't see Virgo as being the longest living zodiac sign on average. Now, the next sign I'm going to talk about is Libra. Well, basically, Libra, like Taurus, I mean, Libra is ruled by Venus, and I think you could have with Libra the certain overindulgence, perhaps, in the sweets, and I think that can maybe play a role and work against them in terms of maybe their as far as being perhaps the longest living zodiac sign. And Libra can have a relaxed temperament as well. And in their latter years, there's nothing wrong with being relaxed, but sometimes it leads to being stagnant and lack of activity. So for those reasons, I don't see Libra as being the longest living zodiac sign on average. Now let me get to Scorpio. Well, Scorpio, to me, I mean, Scorpio I've talked about before, having indomitable spirit and having very strong willpower. However, Scorpio seems to be somewhat crisis-ridden, more so than the other zodiac signs. They seem to be always fighting a perpetual fight and go through many trials and tribulations, perhaps more so than at least most of the other signs. Now, and I think that kind of works against them, and really having a difficult life often doesn't lead to being living really to the age you always want to live to. And I think for those reasons, I don't see Scorpio as being the longest living zodiac sign on average. Now, the next sign I'm going to talk about is Sagittarius. Well, Sagittarius could be very effervescent, have a very optimistic and expansive outlook, and even in their latter years. However, keep in mind, though, that Sagittarius is Jupiter ruled. And with Jupiter, Sagittarius can be a little bit heavier on average than the other zodiac signs. And I think because of the way Sagittarius could be more prone to weight gain than most of the other signs. More so than most of the other signs because it's Jupiter ruled, and for that reason mainly is why I see Sagittarius as maybe perhaps not being, in my opinion, they're not the longest living zodiac sign on average. And Sagittarius is like Aries as far as being accident prone as well, so I think those things you have to factor into that equation as well. So I don't think Sagittarius is the longest living zodiac sign on average. Now, the next sign I'm going to talk about is Aquarius. Well, Aquarius is ruled by Saturn and Uranus. Having the rulership with Saturn over Aquarius can maybe qualify Aquarius as being at least one of the longest zodiac signs, but I don't think it's the longest living zodiac sign. Aquarius also can be, maybe the Uranus rulership makes him somewhat audacious and daring and being unpredictable. The man that I forget his name, but who had walked over the Grand Canyon on a tightrope without any netting or protection below him, he has the sun in Aquarius, and really, the last I had seen, at least the chart I had seen, the legendary Daredevil stuntsman Evel Knievel had Aquarius rising, and for these reasons, because of the daring element with Aquarius, I don't see them as being the longest living zodiac sign. Now, Pisces, let's talk about Pisces now. Well, Pisces, I think, can succumb to lethargy and being stagnant in the latter point of their life, kind of like maybe Taurus, but Pisces is Jupiter and Neptune ruled. Well, having a Jupiter rulership, you could have that propensity or proclivity to the weight gain, it's maybe even in the latter part of the person's life. And then the Neptune, Neptune can be connected with drugs and alcohol. Now, I'm not saying all Pisces are going to succumb to this, but Pisces on average a little bit more so than the other signs, I believe, can have that inclination toward those things. So that's something to factor into the equation. And I think that can work against them as being possibly the longest living zodiac sign. Now, I'm going to tell you the sign that I believe is the longest living zodiac sign on average is Capricorn. And Capricorn is ruled by Saturn. Saturn is the planet associated with longevity and old age. And I think when you look at Capricorn, Capricorn can be about disciplined energy. They know when to work laboriously and be industrious, and they know when to take it easy. Capricorns can often, being an earth sign, can be very cautious, prudent, pragmatic, and premeditative. And they know when to work hard in their younger years, but know when to take it easy, I think, in the latter point of their life. And Capricorns are usually, they're not the type of people to do anything as far as being audacious or foolhardy. Being very premeditative and being very good planners, Capricorns are the type of people that can really plan for retirement very well and able to retire at a reasonable age without succumbing to overexertion at the latter point of their lives. And I think when I look at this, that's really how I see Capricorn as being the longest living zodiac sign on average. And really that's pretty much it for this YouTube astrological segment for what I believe, in my opinion, is the longest living zodiac sign on average. And stay tuned next time where I'll be continuing my zodiac sign compatibility series. Two things I want to get with you on before I head out. Firstly, the stars may impel but do not compel. And secondly, never isolate any single astrological element, aspect, planetary placement, position, configuration, influence, or what have you, and make an analysis of a person, astrologically speaking, based on this alone. Because astrologically speaking, the person is the sum of all their components in their natal chart, and not just one. Until next time, people, stay well.